Shilpa Mudbi, and today I will be teaching you another song that I learned from my grandmother, this one quite recently. It's about the mother's home, Taura Mani. It's a story actually about a young girl married off in her early teens. Years later, after her mother's passed away, she remembers her childhood home and her mother's presence. ಬಾಗಿಲ ಮುಂದ ರಂಗೋಲೆ ಬಾಗಿ ಹಾಕೂತ ನಾನಾ ತರದಲ್ಲೇ ಬಾಗಿಲ ಮುಂದ ರಂಗೋಲೆ ಬಾಗಿ ಹಾಕೂತ ನಾನಾ ತರದಲ್ಲೇ ಕನಸ ಬಿದ್ದೀತ ಮತ ಮತ ಒಂದೇ ಕನಸ ಬಿದ್ದೀತ ಮತ ಮತ ಒಂದೇ ಹೇಗೆ ಮರೆಯಾಗಲಿ ನನ್ನ ತವರಿಗೆ ತವರೂರ ನೋಡಲು ಬಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ತಂದೆ. What's happening here? The song says, I'm standing in front of my doorway and I'm making designs, rangoli designs on the floor. And while I do that, my mind is on the recurring dream that I have about how I will return to my mother's house. Every time I return to that town where my mother's house is, I think of her and I tear up. ಅಣ್ಣನ ಮಡದಿ ಬಲು ಖೋಡೆ ಕಣ್ಣ ಸನ್ನಿ ಮಾಡಿದಳೆನ್ನ ನೋಡೆ ಅಣ್ಣನ ಮಡದಿ ಬಲು ಖೋಡೆ ಕಣ್ಣ ಸನ್ನಿ ಮಾಡಿದಳೆನ್ನ ನೋಡೆ ಅಣ್ಣನ ಮಾತಾಡಲು ಗಂಗಾ ಹೊಳಿಯಾಗ ಹೋದೆ ತನ್ನ ಪತ್ನಿ ಗುಡಾತ ಮಾತಾಡೆ ತವರೂರ ಮನಿ ನೋಡಲು ಬಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ತಂದೆ. She says, my brother's wife, she's so mean. When I went home, she made eyes at me. So I went to the riverside to speak to him and tell him, say something to her. Talk to her. Every time I come back to my mother's house, my mother's memory makes me cry. ದೇಶದೊಳಗೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಸಿರಿ ಸಂಪತ್ ಕೊಡೋ ತೌರ ಮನಿಗೆ ದೇಶದೊಳಗೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಸಿರಿ ಸಂಪತ್ ಕೊಡೋ ತೌರ ಮನಿಗೆ ಸಿರಿ ಸಂಪತ್ ಕೊಡೋ ತೌರ ಮನಿಗೆ ಸಿರಿ ಸಂಪತ್ ಕೊಡೋ ತೌರ ಮನಿಗೆ ತಾಯಿ ಕರಪೂರ ತರುವೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಗುಡಿಗೆ. This is the song, and the last verse she basically says, no matter what my situation is in my childhood home, now that the sister-in-law is there, there's a new matriarch at home and she is at the mercy of the new woman. And yet, she says, Vasudeva, bless my Tauramani, bless my mother's house with wealth and prosperity. If you do so, I shall bring camphor from her town and light it in your shrine. There is another verse that my grandmother sings, and I'll tell you why I didn't sing it. I'll tell you why I didn't sing it. I have some issues with what it means and what that propagates. This is how it goes. It comes before the Desa Dolage Vasudeva verse. It says, ತಾಯಿ ನಿಲ್ಲದ ತೌರ ಮನಿಗೆ ಎಂದು ಬರಬಾರದಿ ಊರ ದಾರಿಗೆ. ತಾಯಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸಂಪತ್ ಹೆಣ್ಣಿಂದೆ, ತಾಯಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸಂಪತ್ ಹೆಣ್ಣಿಂದೆ, ತಾಯಿ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ತಂದೆ. So what it's saying is this: a house, a childhood home without the presence of the mother, you should not visit. For that matter, you should not go into that town, because if you do not have a mother, you have no wealth. Your real wealth comes from your connection to your mother. Now, from the time I was born, I have never been made to feel this way. I love my mom and I love everyone in my household, to a point where I see that the wealth I have is not just my mother, it's my father, it's my grandmother, it's my husband, it's my cat, it's my sisters, it's my friends, it's my work. We define the wealth that we have. And hence, this, I feel as artists, when we say we're going to sing something, we have the responsibility to know what we are propagating and be conscious of it, and not propagate that kind of insecurity for women in vulnerable spaces. So this song ultimately is more to do with the mother's home, your childhood home, which I miss so much. Especially during this lockdown, I have been away from my niece and my sisters and my mom and dad and my grandmom. So I've started singing my own few verses, which are more how I feel, which are more about my family, my mom, my dad. I would like you to try this at home. It's very simple. ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲೇ, ಇಬ್ಬರ ತಂಗಿಯರ ನೆನಪಿನಲ್ಲೇ. ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲೇ, ಇಬ್ಬರ ತಂಗಿಯರ ನೆನಪಿನಲ್ಲೇ. ನನ್ನ ಅಜ್ಜಿಯ ಸಿಹಿ ನುಡಿಯಲ್ಲೇ, ತವರ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಹಾಡುತ್ತಾ ಕುಂತೆ. ತವರೂರ ಕನಸಲಿ ಕಂಡೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ತಂದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ತಂದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ತಂದೆ. Feel free to use your voice, your words, your lyrics, the meaning that reaches out to you the most, and own that agency every time you use your voice. And I will see you next episode. But before I leave,